Welcome. It's Thursday on Jasiri, and today we're diving deep into the magic of Nollywood. From the art of storytelling that keeps us glued to our screens, to the challenges shaking the industry, like Omoni Oboli's recent issue with a copyright claim on her movie, to the portrayal of culture and tradition in movies. We're unpacking everything today. What makes Nollywood unforgettable? How can filmmakers protect their creative work? And what does it all mean for the future of the industry? Let's talk the art of storytelling in Nollywood later on the show. But first, we need everyone to pay attention to the next story.
Now, a 12-year-old student of King's College in Lagos has died after coming down with diphtheria. Some 14 others have also been hospitalized. The Lagos state government confirmed the outbreak of the serious bacterial infection on Tuesday. 34 individuals who had close contact with the deceased students were also put under quarantine and close supervision by authorities. Lagos Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, released a statement reassuring the public that the situation is under control and there is no cause for alarm. His statement did give some details of the situation, disclosing that the deceased young man developed a sore throat and fever and presented to the school's health facility on the 22nd of February. He was referred to the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, where he was admitted to the pediatric emergency ward. Despite receiving appropriate antibiotics and a full dose of diphtheria toxoid serum, the student unfortunately succumbed to myocarditis, a severe and recognized complication of the infection, on the 6th of March.
Now, following his death, 14 other students developed symptoms and were transferred to Luth Children's Emergency Unit for screening, with 12 of them testing positive for early signs of diphtheria. Now, they're currently receiving treatment, which includes antibiotics and diphtheria antitoxin serum. Abayomi concluded saying that there are no new cases as of now, and the 14 symptomatic students are recovering under close medical supervision. He did mention, though, that preliminary inspection of King's College Annex by health officials uncovered areas where infection prevention and control measures needed to be improved, and that process will commence immediately. Now, the Lagos Commissioner for Health visited the school, and here's what he had to say.
Following immunization, and at what point should there be call for concern and worry for that?
Okay, so whenever you are vaccinating, there is something called adverse event monitoring. Every vaccine comes with a potential risk of some adverse event. The most common adverse event is a little bit of soreness around the site of the vaccine. If there is no soreness, and sometimes they develop a mild fever, then the vaccine is not working. So if we give a population a vaccine and you ask them afterwards, did you have any feelings? And they say, no, I didn't feel anything. Then you have to suspect whether that vaccine is actually a proper vaccine. Because that's how vaccines work. They simulate the illness. So if I give you a vaccine, I expect you to have some side effects. Commonly around the injection site, a bit of soreness, a bit of stiffness or pain. If that happens, then we know that the vaccine is working. Additionally, you might feel a little bit feverish, or you might feel hot or cold. That means your immune system has recognized the vaccine that we've injected into you. It is using that opportunity to ramp up its immune system. So adverse events are normal. Mild adverse events are normal. Occasionally, we have very serious adverse events where a patient may develop an allergic reaction or may collapse. With diphtheria tetanus booster, it is a very, very rare occurrence. Nonetheless, we have our staff on ground because the children are in the school. They are not coming here vaccinating and going around their business. It is very easy for us to monitor the children after the vaccine. Our staff are all on ground. You can see the full complement of our public health agency here. several 10, 20, 30, 40 of them are here. They're going to be vaccinating all day, next day, day after, and they remain on ground. We're also educating the teachers on what to expect with an adverse event. So we are on ground here, and we expect to be in full control.
And that's Professor Akin Abayomi speaking about the vaccines that are now being given. Now, in response to the outbreak, the Lagos State government has activated an emergency response committee to begin infection prevention measures at King's College. The committee will also begin a mass vaccination campaign targeting school children and healthcare providers, with nearly 500,000 doses of diphtheria vaccine to be deployed to high-risk areas. This will also include public awareness campaigns to teach residents how to recognize symptoms and what to do when they have symptoms. The Lagos State government is also working closely with other federal health agencies, as well as the WHO and more, to contain the outbreak. This diphtheria outbreak comes as the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, also issued a new public advisory on Lassa fever, following the death of a 31-year-old physician in Ondo State. The physician died a few days after returning from the UK. In the advisory signed by the Director General Jide Idris, the agency reported that as of the 2nd of March, there are a number of cases that Nigeria had recorded.
Nigeria has recorded 535 confirmed cases and 98 deaths across 14 states in 2025. The NCDC noted that Ondo, Bauchi, Edo, Taraba, and Ebonyi accounted for 91% of infections. Lassa fever is a viral hemorrhagic disease transmitted primarily through contact with infected rodents and contaminated food or household items. It can also spread from person to person, particularly in healthcare settings with inadequate infection control measures. According to NCDC, the natural reservoir for the virus is the multi-mammoth rat, also known as the African rat. Other rodents can also act as carriers of the virus. Symptoms of Lassa fever include fever, headache, general body weakness, cough, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, chest pain, muscle pain, and sore throat. In severe cases, there could be bleeding from the eyes, the nose, mouth, and other parts of the body that has an opening.
And so
yeah, we'll come back to the conversation of diphtheria and the outbreaks. We have a short break now, and after that we'll be having a conversation on storytelling in Nigeria. But in the meantime, we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Many thanks for staying with us. You're still live with us on Just Syria. And before we went on the break, we were talking about the spread of some very contagious infections like diphtheria and Lassa fever. Now, for diphtheria, this is not the first case of it that we're hearing. I think it surfaced in 2019, and in 2023, we're still counting the cases. And now it's become more dangerous, because for those who don't know, diphtheria is one of the most dangerous infections because it spreads so fast through respiratory droplets, and for myocarditis, it literally can stop your heart in a few seconds.
Yes,
right? So
cardio,
yes,
heart,
and then there is Lassa fever. So this is a very dangerous time, especially for our health sector.
For me, because it's happening in a school, that means they need more awareness, because we have a lot of boarding schools where children reside and, interact with each other at close proximity. And that's something that I find a bit problematic. For days now, I've been trying to get nose mask. It seems like it's so scarce everywhere.
Because it's not the pressure. Because let's also remember, sometime this week or over the weekend, we hit 5 years from when the COVID pandemic was declared as a global health emergency. And so it feels like 5 years later, people's minds have started leaving those things. So I'm a panicker. I bought face masks. I have extra. And I was not thinking to myself, when am I going to use these face masks? Only to now start giving Corridor face mask again.
Yes, I had to take from the office just 2 days ago. What I'm trying to say is that there are so many health concerns, and we need to stick to these hygiene rules. I don't think schools should stop hand washing campaign. It shouldn't be when we have an issue that is deadly that we have to now go back, because some of the things they are going to ask us to do are all the basic things and precautions that we took when COVID hit.
Yes.
And I think they are still very relevant.
Yes.
They are still very important that you hand wash. I'm so used to it that if I get home from work, the first thing I do is go into the kitchen and wash my hand with soap before I do anything. And when you actually see the amount of dust on your palms, you will know that this is important. So for people that are in boarding schools, they need to still take a lot of precautions, because some of these things might have happened in one school. How about other schools that are, you know, that have a large population of students? And you know that boys, they just play. They don't have boundaries. They don't do anything.
That's one of the sort of places where you will find a diphtheria outbreak, when you have people living in close quarters, and it's a very difficult thing. Unfortunately, it also happens to be something that, as Blessing said, Nigeria has battled over the years, time and time again. We have these space issues, we have proximity issues, then we have we have a water issue. Let's also talk about a lack of potable water in some situations as well. Not just, I don't know what the water situation is like at King's College, but in some of the outbreaks we've had, that's one of the things. So it's definitely, I tell Cordia all the time, COVID washing. I send her back. So it has to be part and parcel. When you come home, you wash your hands, use the bathroom. In fact, take a bath. Let's remove the dust of the day. Because one of the things I noticed, and this is just off of it, when I started, there were times when I had breakouts, and my doctors would say, do you wash your hands before you wash your face? A lot of us just go straight to washing our face. But wash your hands before you wash your face, and you might see what is on your hand. And what I used to scare her from not touching things, I tell her, you might be responsible, but other people, you don't know the person who picks their nose, who didn't wash their hands going to the bathroom, and you want to use the same railing that they do. But all of a sudden you think she thinks the railing is like lava. No. But those are the things we have to transmit, that as much as we can be hygienic and think about our own protection, a lot of people are not. And so it just means more on us. My heart goes out to the family of that young man.
That boy.
My heart absolutely goes out to them.
And I hope those that are in the hospital recover very, very quickly.
They do, and I hope so too. And I also hope we don't see situations of vaccine hesitancy, because one of the things I was noting when it comes to the diphtheria outbreaks, particularly in some of the northern parts of the country, is when these outbreaks happen, they're not vaccinated. Even right now, I think in the southern parts of the United States, either Florida or Texas, they're going through a measles outbreak. A person has died, and that's something that's like would be so far-fetched to hear of a measles outbreak in the U.S. But there are a lot of conversations around vaccines right now. But what we know is that vaccines work. There are some chances that somebody will have an adverse reaction, like we heard from Professor Abayomi, but those chances are quite slim. The number of lives that have been saved through vaccines are so many. And so please, let's educate ourselves when it comes to this conversation around vaccines. Lassa fever, one thing I do, especially with cans, please wash your cans. If you have a store and you keep things, wash them before you use them. If you store pots and plants, when you're about to use them again, wash them.
It's a rule of the town in my house that anytime you pull...
That's why they tell you can't eat in everybody's house. You'll be surprised.
Anytime we pull anything out of the kitchen, I make sure
wash it before you
wash
use
it again before you use them.
I think
and a lot of this vaccination, we need more information. We need this VOA. These are part of these social... NOA, sorry. We need information out there. You know, speculations, and you know, when people hear, they might hear it on Jasiri now. It might feel as if we are the only ones talking about it. But if it's everywhere, people become more aware. And now that we've had children within the outbreak enclosure, we need to be more open and tell everybody, come outside and talk about this Lassa fever, talk about diphtheria, so that people can just be a little more cautious.
And I also think that this is the best time to re-emphasize the need for especially new parents or parents of toddlers to watch who carries. We're too nice in this country. And I remember my sister, when I traveled, the first time I saw her son, I was so excited. I was running. She was like, where are you going? Go and wash your hands. And even if the baby doesn't get this, you know, contract this, the parents can also, by carrying the child. So please be careful. And another thing is, it's one thing to teach hygiene in schools, but I think it should also, because your children most likely spend more time in school. You can monitor when they wash their hands at home, when they don't, but in school you can't. So I think that this is when schools should reinforce, like you said, if you need to put a basin in front of the door when children are coming in, they wash it.
You know, from COVID time, I've seen a lot of schools put these facilities in place. But now that when I visit some schools, The tap is just there.
Yeah.
Water no longer runs.
There's
it's
no
already
hand wash
dirty.
anymore.
You will know that they have not been interacting with this thing for a long time.
And given the nature,
part of it.
given the nature of how outbreaks work in Nigeria, we're calling on schools, go back. We're not the kind of society that can continue to sort of ignore things for a while. Let's maintain COVID protocols, whatever we want to call it. Let's take a quick break. Up next is a conversation on the art of storytelling in Nigeria. Nollywood has given us powerful narratives that reflect our society, but behind the scenes, filmmakers face major challenges, like protecting their creative work from copyright violations and ensuring our culture and traditions are authentically portrayed on screen. How do we strike the right balance between creative expression and legal protection? And are filmmakers truly doing justice to Nigeria's rich cultural heritage? Joining us after the break is filmmaker and director Stanley Obi. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back to Jesiri. It's time now for some positive news on the table. So right now, we're shifting our focus to Nollywood as we explore the art of storytelling, cultural representation in Nigerian films, and of course, copyright issues in films. Who better to join us for this conversation than the director of the latest film making waves on social media and just racking up the numbers. Lord, I received their grace. I'm talking about 5 million plus views. Now I hear 7 million in 2 days of being offline. And it's now standing at 9 million views in 5 days. In case you're still lost, then let me call my Ogene, because the real Odogu Parara is on our Jasiri table right now. He is a filmmaker, a director, and an excellent storyteller. But sorry, ladies, this one is not for singles. Or is it? I don't know.
Yes.
Oh, yes? Really? Blessed are we ladies with this man. For the very first time, please make welcome. Give a beautiful Jasiri welcome to Stanley Obi.
Thank you very much.
Stanley, are you single?
I'm not married.
Wow.
Is somebody unsingle with you? Wow, it's okay.
Wow.
You know,
Thank you, Toby, for asking that progressive
we can't
question.
always ask from their perspective. We need to know if somebody thinks they're attached to you.
Yeah.
No. So I'll just answer it actually. No.
Wow.
Okay,
wow.
better.
Stanley Obi. Ladies, I have his number.
Can we start?
Yes.
Thank you. So we have to start by congratulating you and Omoni Oboli as well on the magnificent feat, reaching 9 million in 5 days.
Yay.
That deserves something. And I hear that you guys are out for a record-breaking, record-setting.
Yes,
numbers.
we're racing down to 20 million.
20. We'll be watching. We'll see what happens. So congratulations on that. But it seemed that as the numbers are racking up, enemies of progress were coming out from somewhere. Because shortly after the movie started raking up the numbers and getting attention, we woke up to a copyright claim. And I know a lot of people would really want to know how things worked out in terms of that, Stanley. Who is Chinoso Obiora, the relation to the movie and the copyright claim that many people woke up to?
Okay, I wouldn't want to speak more on that because every now and then we get, it was actually a drone shot that was used sparingly in the film. So the guy saw that, you know, the movie was raking numbers and then decided to come for the movie.
Wasn't he paid?
But it has been resolved.
That's
Oh, it initially was a stock video.
It has been resolved.
No, it's understandable because, you know, we on this side, we understand that there are some situations we've had as well.
Yes.
But it's a good thing that you say it has been resolved and we saw the resolution.
Yeah, of course, the numbers is still there and the movie is up. Yeah.
I was so scared.
Yeah, so like you would lose all that view.
No, this is not happening. I feel like I was on money. What do we do? How do we salvage? So I'm glad that it's back.
You literally lose your mind if that happens.
Yes,
I mean, it was on 7 million plus, and then this came up. We weren't ourselves, actually.
I can imagine.
It cannot be easy.
Blessings.
Okay, so we have experienced our own online issues, like Tolu did mention, and as our head of digital likes to remind us, the rules change almost every day.
Yeah.
Platforms are looking to see how they monetize the content posted on them. Content creators are sometimes left in the dark about why their content is flagged and how to solve the issues. And there are some individuals, opportunistic, need I say, because I feel like if that video was not making that much number, nobody would have come out
definitely.
to say. But yeah, you know, there's that. But thankfully, it has been resolved. What can you tell us are the processes that went into resolving this issue? Because I know Lolo went through something similar, and it was a lot. You know, she had to write, was it a petition?
Yeah.
She had to prove, attach videos,
Video of the
BTS,
editing.
yes, you know.
BTS.
So usually we have professionals. She has professionals that take care of that runs the channel. So there is, I can't say much about it because I was getting feedbacks, but we had people at the forefront that took care of that, and together, of course, with the woman king herself, Omoni. So she was able to, you know, resolve that, and that's the reason why we have the movie back with that number.
Wow. Anyway, you know, I myself am a producer and I've been trying my hands on YouTube, and I know that it's not easy.
It's not
My
It's
brother, I feel like fainting, but he that setteth his hands upon thy plow can never look back. It's the only way. But it hasn't been easy. But you know, we see more and more Nollywood creators. Everybody just likes to come to the pie. Once somebody is getting attention or money is being made somewhere, everybody is getting, you know, wants to put their hands in it. And when it comes to negotiating, you know, a lot of people don't know that there are many platforms which you can put films.
Yeah.
Something like we now have streaming platforms, which never used to be in the past. We only used to see streaming platforms take foreign content. But in the past couple of years, we've seen streaming platforms take, you know, Nigerian content, and they have their requirements. It got a bit more stringent recently. And I know that there had been a disappearing of some. And yes, one exited so quickly. Just I doubt if we had put a pillow on the chair before they left and went. So we know that some of those challenges are on the ground. But what makes YouTube so attractive for many people like me? What do you think? Is it the money? Well, people think that because you post, it's not easy like that to make the money. But what is the allure?
Okay, I happen to be around for 20 years now.
Wow.
Yes, to be.
You don't look it.
You don't know to me.
Thank God for that we don't look like what we've been through.
Of course. So I've seen different generation of filmmaking or filmmakers come and go. I've seen somebody rise from being a wakapas to a superstar. So in the past, it was very, very difficult to get to be a movie producer. Even to be a movie producer, it was secluded to certain kind of people, which is the Alaba guys that run the business. So so now technology has made that very, very
it's cut out sort of those middlemen.
Middlemen.
Alaba was big that year.
Yes,
honestly,
they were like caught.
I remember when they used to blacklist actresses.
Of course.
So, but now we are missing that era because it brought discipline to the
Sanctity.
system, sanctity and structure to the system. But now anybody can be a filmmaker. I mean, we have cameras. Once you can tell a story, the YouTube platform is there for you to put your movie up, and you're getting revenue for your work. So I think technology has actually bridged that gap.
But in bridging that gap, because, you know, we talk a lot about the Nollywood conversation in terms of quantity over quality sometimes, that we can bring out all these films, but when you look at the quality of the majority of them are questionable. And we're getting to good quality now. But when you look at the fact that...
the story's texture
Yes, the texture, the depth, the
because it's
that made Nollywood.
Yes, the building of the characters, all of that. But if you're looking at technology, it almost makes it feel like we're going back to the beginning days where it was all comers are fair. Maybe not all comers because it was expensive then, but all comers are fair, where there is anybody can just say I'm doing a movie, create a channel, and do it. So now, as we see YouTube, particularly, which is easier for many people than some of the other streaming platforms to get on, do you worry that we might go back to the era of quantity over quality?
Yes, of course, I'm worried because just like I said earlier, I've been around for more than 2 decades now. So then it used to be quality storytelling. So the focus is actually getting a good script and well executing it. Now the focus is getting an actor that has numbers.
No, you're gonna go there.
And then just get a script and then throw to them, whether they read it before coming to set, it no concern you. You just want them to come. They have good RPM. They will give you the views. They will give you a post. They will dance, and then you have.
Do they really give you the return on investment?
Some does.
Some do, and many they don't.
Do not.
Yeah, there's this issue of overpricing.
Everybody thinks they're worth a certain amount.
Yes, because XYZ, or you've seen the numbers a little bit, maybe on your socials, and then you just feel like this person is collecting this particular amount. Yes, I can also do that, but again, it goes way beyond that. It goes. I think we should start focusing on the quality of your self-investment, how well you can interpret and what you're bringing to the table. So I fear for my industry, but again, it's our individual responsibility to make sure, just like movie like this.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I like about Omoni. She's very, very good with keen on choosing a very good story. Especially I think that's the bedrock of every successful movie.
Yeah.
So, and especially you as a director, if you have a good story, at least then you bring your nuances and the juices to make it a very good one.
Okay, so I mean, still speaking on quality over quantity, I'm very curious about a lot of things, especially whose responsibility it is to ensure that people deliver. Like you said, it's more about the numbers now. People don't. So sometimes I see movies and I'm like, is this supposed to elicit emotion from me? But we're going to talk about that very shortly. We'll go on a short break now. We're still talking storytelling with Stanley Obi. When we come back, we continue. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Jasiri, and if you've missed the conversation leading up to this moment, well, you're in luck because we're still talking about storytelling with Stanley Obi. And I was asking a question before you went. I wanted to say on leave. I think you're
not going on leave. So sorry for you.
Before we had the break, and I was talking about whose responsibility is it? I mean, who is the onus on to ensure standard? We're talking about maintaining quality over quantity, and we know that aside the craze for the actors that have followers, there's also the desire to want to just push out as many movies as possible, because now the mantra is you don't know which one will blow you. So that said, whose responsibility is it to maintain standard? I've seen movies where, they say the casting director casts somebody that is not entirely fit for but eventually in the course of rehearsing for the movie, they make the person into what they want to see. So they bring out the emotions, they bring out that anger that makes the person into the perfect character. Whose responsibility is it?
So, yes, it's actually the director's responsibility, but I'm going to I'm going to answer it in 2 ways. Yeah, let me play to the defense of the director. Yeah, so sometimes you're being constrained with time. Sometimes you don't have a say to who you cast in a particular role, and then the producer just throw somebody, maybe a cousin or a sister, using sentiment or relationship, and throw somebody to you and say, this is the person playing this role. And then as a director, having to read the script, you're telling yourself, or you're trying to have this conversation with the producer, this person, director, let's just try now. And then you succumb to that, and then you're trying to take as many takes or prep talk the person into, because the director's job is not actually to train you on set.
At all.
So this is a professional field, yeah? So you come on board, you are being hired to do this, and I believe, you want to believe that you know how to do it. It's not your responsibility. Most times, it's not your responsibility to train an actor on how to act, but you can guide an actor towards your vision. I think that's actually the answer. That's your sole responsibility as a director, guiding and basically having that conversation with the actor to work towards the vision, because one of your core. One of your job description is actually get this story and then get a direction to it, have a vision for this, know how best you want to communicate it, and then carry everybody along. You have the camera guys, you have the sound, you have the costume department, you have the actors. So just bring everything together. You are more like the chef here. So sometimes. So answering your question now, so some factors can actually deter that. Sometimes you don't have time, you are trying to work on an actor, and then the producer is coming and saying, time.
Because you pay for how many days on location.
Exactly. So time. More just go. I don't know, if you are insisting, they look at you that you're a time waster.
Yeah.
Because the actor that is supposed to sell the film is there. Just do this thing, Moku, let's leave here. So this happens mostly when you're doing platform movie, which I've done a lot of that. So many factors can actually limit you in getting or achieving what you want as a director.
When Blessings was asking that question, I was just thinking of, I don't know if you guys saw the video. I think it was a Yoruba film. The guy was at home. The lady came home to meet her man. She came and they changed wigs.
She came in with
She came in with wrong hair. Then they went to a cut and we came back and we saw wig. I'm like, what?
That's the continuity.
No, most times this is what
But
happens.
he's also director.
No, this is what happens. Yeah, no, it's someone's job.
Continuity.
So because director, you can't see everything, but you are advised to at least be the last person that will say, okay, pass it. More like if you say, next scene, we believe that you have
give you a stamp on the
yes. So you're supposed to do a due diligence before putting your stamp on the scene and say, okay, it's a wrap. Let's move on to the next one. But this is what usually happen. We shoot into the night and where everybody, they are fatigued, they are tired, and maybe there is a generator power outrage, they are going to on the generator, and the actor just decided to remove the wig and just relax to take a nap while they fix the light. And then, light is here, let's go.
And you pick the wrong wig.
Maybe the makeup assistant just grouchily pick one wig and then put it up.
I'm so sorry, I'm in corporate space. That excuse does not work.
No, but do you think, because there are two things I see here, budget and then multiple streams of income. Budget in the sense that you will see them using makeup artists as continuity. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, they try to
maybe I should ask Stanley, like, a lot of people do not know that different platforms calls for different kinds of budgets.
Yes.
So for like a platform like YouTube, people are shooting with as minimal a budget as they can because they believe that it's based on numbers. So even if you invest a lot and you are not making the numbers, you're not going to make any money.
Yes.
Would you say that is what affects the level of creativity?
Yes.
Or all these wishy-washy things that we see in YouTube, especially films?
Also, yes, I agree with you. I would say yes to that because we are being constrained by budget. And also, if you're working with, let's say, a platform like Rock, they have a QC, you can barely
Quality
notice,
control.
QC control that double check those things. So that's why you don't, as many of the YouTube guys, you can't get your movie, or your movie might not scale the QC control for some of those platforms because they take it seriously. But if you're doing YouTube, it's just your level of creativity and what you know about filmmaking. It can be shallow. And that shallowness will reflect on your page.
But so part of the numbers conversation is sometimes, even if the shallowness reflects, somebody like me might watch and be like, what's this? There are people who are hyping them up. There are some, they may not get the numbers of 9 million that we're talking about, but they're getting some numbers that encourage them to keep going. And because, as you said, there's no QC and there's no correction, they'll continue that line, making that level of quality of movie. Probably saying it's their village people that are stopping them from blowing, but not thinking back to what they're inputting in. I want to quickly ask this, because we got to that. What do you think makes a Nollywood movie stand out among the crowd? And I'm not talking about the crowd of, we've done 5 movies every day, Enugu. What was the guy who told us how many movies they come out with every week in Enugu? And that's their machine. It works for them. But now where there's competition in their eyeballs on Nollywood and films coming out of Nigeria in particular, what do you think makes a Nollywood movie stand out?
Story.
Simple.
Simple. Story. Get a good story and get a good director. Because a bad director can
spoil a good movie, a good script.
Are you sure it's not hype though? Because honestly, if a clip, I'll give an example. The reason I watched that movie was because of the hype. That's the money. And then I found out that the storyline was
good.
Exactly.
The storyline was properly told.
Yes, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't have known until I have watched it.
Okay.
So the reason why I watched in the first place is because of the hype. So are you sure that it's not, these days, once there's a clip that is doing well on TikTok or Instagram, your movie is sure to do numbers?
No. I mean, we have little, or if you're talking about some of the stories that has gotten that number, you just maybe Ruth with she has a movie like that that blew out of proportion. Then Uche
Montana?
No, not Montana. Uche
Tijembu?
Mbonabo. Uche Mbonabo,
Okay.
He has something like that, and then Omoni is here. So Omoni is breaking
Bimbo
the record
Ademoye
actually,
Yeah.
and then Bimbo, of course. Then Omoni is breaking
All the records right now.
all the records, setting a new one. So, but story and a good director.
All right, we'll keep it on that story and the director because we still have some more convo coming up after this break, but we need to go on a quick break now. We'll return soon.
On Wednesday, news broke that the producers of the film Gangs of Lagos have agreed to issue an unreserved apology to the Isale co-descendants union, the Baju Laye chieftaincy family and the Shashore chieftaincy family for misrepresenting and disparaging the cultural heritage of the Eyo masquerade, as well as misrepresenting the nature and long-standing traditions of the Isale Co people in the film. Now, this agreement is part of a court-approved settlement endorsed by Justice Idowu Alakija of the Lagos High Court, formally resolving the disputes between the above-named parties, as well as Amazon Web Services, along with 11 other parties. The movie was released in 2023, and shortly after the release, the Isale Co-Descendants Union, along with the Baju Laye and Shashore chieftaincy families, filed a suit regarding the portrayal of the Eyo in the film. The announcement on Wednesday has many talking about cultural representation inside film in the place of artistic expression or liberty. So Stanley, as we start wrapping up the conversation, you're a director.
Yes.
There's sometimes the saying that life imitates art or art imitates life, but the belief is that there's a level of expression and liberty that directors and filmmakers have in portraying certain things and bringing movies to light. What do you think about this? Not necessarily about this case in particular, but it's a good jumping point about the representation of Nigerian culture in Nollywood, by Nollywood, from Nollywood. What are your thoughts?
Nollywood.
Okay, so most times we tend to, as directors, we can take, if something is aesthetically okay for a film, we go with it, not minding the cultural misrepresentation.
Nuances, yes.
Nuances. So she felt like, okay, I like this idea, but it can be an oversight most times when you're shooting, when you're filming. You would never have imagined that people would take it out of context.
Yeah.
So maybe I think for her, that's actually what happened. But yeah, good to know that they have resolved it. They are in the process of resolving it.
But I just even want to know that, there's some cultural things that are very, very dear to us in Africa. And we have to portray it in films. Is there a line we cannot cross? like the Oshun, like you know those
The Oshun
Oshun,
Festival for,
Obatala, Shango, Amadioha. Do we have to be culturally right, or we can just about representing it? Maybe Amadioha now, there must be practices to how it's been evoked. Must we follow it hook, line, and sinker, or have we allowed some? You know,
so let me ask like this. So what's her name? The lady that did Wicked, the black lady.
Yeah.
She's been cast to play
Cynthia
Jesus.
Erivo.
Yes, she's been
Yes,
cast to play Jesus in the next Broadway adaptation of, I think Technicolor Jesus or whatever, I can't remember. There's a lot of outcry from Christians that Jesus was not a woman.
Yeah.
So you can also think about in terms of some situations in our cultural heritage where women didn't portray or didn't do certain things. Somebody now wants to come and say, you know what, in my film, this particular person who's always been known as a man in real life is going to be a woman. That takes the artistic liberty of something that is a traditional and cultural belief and says, for this film, I want to represent it differently. What happens in that regard? Do we take it too far? Because sometimes in pushing the envelope, we want to bring about cultural conversations. And when I watched it, I understood the representation. It was striking to me.
Yes.
But the owners of it are saying that that is not the representation that we want of your culture.
Yes.
So we have to think about it, because this judgment could also be setting a precedent as to how representation is done when it comes to cultural and traditional things.
So I think we should always do our due diligence when we are doing. Some people take their culture
Very personal.
very, very personal. Let me not even go to the Edo people. Yeah. So I've shot there and I almost got into one big trouble telling Inoge's story. Yeah. Or Oba's story, yeah, something like that. Even the actor will tell you, pop and plain, sir, I will not do it.
Wow.
Yeah, they are like that.
Wow.
They will tell you, sorry, sir, no,
It's not me and you.
It's not me and you. It's not like this. They will give you direction, and you think they are joking. They will walk out of your set.
Wow.
Yeah, they are that keen about it. I think people should, if they are like that, just allow them be, and then you can. There's no one way that leads to the market.
Yeah.
You can also, tilt or try to make adjustments, especially when you feel like it's going to put a negative impression or spin to your story. So find other ways you can convey or other elements that you can use in telling that story.
So what do we, I did this like, Nigeria, we're really trying to compete adequately with the world and tell stories like Americans would tell stories. And of course, if it's a Tyler Perry movie, I'm going to expect some nudity and, some very bigger
cultural thing.
yeah.
Where's Tyler Perry? Because some of his movies too, he have wig issues. Some of his movies too, the acting is bad. Let us tell the truth.
It's
Like
bad.
Yes.
We know one series right now that's booming, but people, as much as people are watching, people are complaining
and criticizing.
You'll see written, produced, directed, something. He doesn't have a writer's room.
Yes.
He writes everything himself. And come on. Okay, continue.
So
Sorry.
what would not, because we're trying to push and, be internationally recognized, do you think there's some envelopes? I've seen some films, I'm like, okay, are we moving closer? There are more nude scenes, there are more visual, representations of some sort. When I was young, you'd only see two legs on that. You would never see anything. But now I've been privileged to see some backside. Do you think that we're just merging with the standard of the world, or?
Because do you think we need more critics? Because I feel like we're becoming too relaxed. I only know one off the top of my head in Nigeria right now. Do you think we need more local?
Yes,
and
but there's another one that got chased out of criticizing. So that's the second part. And the last part, and because we don't have time, the last part of it is, do you feel like you bear responsibility for presenting Nigeria in a certain way to an international audience? Stanley, you have 1 minute to answer the question.
I don't know.
Yes. So for me personally, I feel like I do. I bear that burden to represent Nigeria, especially talking about my latest film. You see that the Igbo man was well represented. I was particular about it. I mean, the script says that Bam actually proposed to Odogu. I said no. I re-worked on that scene. I said, yeah, you can actually give it as an idea, but Odogu disclaim and say, no, I'm a red cap chief. You can't. You can't. So that's me representing and repping my culture, which is the Igbo clan.
Okay,
so
critics.
Yes.
Answer the question.
Yes
Do
or
we
no?
have critics?
Do we need more? Yes or no?
Do we need more
More
critics? Yes. It puts you on your...
Stanley, it seems you have to come back because we're really not done with you. How can you make the ladies overstep their time with your gentle ways? What a conversation we've had, the power of storytelling in Nollywood, to the battles over copyright protection. We didn't even get there. You know, there's so many things that we could have discussed, but I want to say thank you to Stanley Obi for coming.
And congratulations on 9 million.
again.
Thank you
And
very
congratulations on all the work we'll probably do together.
Yes, definitely.
Selling my market.
Okay, bye.
From all of us, it's bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.